Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Anton Boyko. I'm Microsoft Azure MVP from Ukraine, and today I want to talk with you about tips and tricks of building elastic Node.js applications in Azure, and also about optimizing its performance. So let's get started. I will start from some simple tips, and after that I will give several more complicated ones. So the first one is manage your modules using NPM. It's kind of very simple tip, but basically if we are talking about Node.js development, it can save you really a lot of time and efforts.
If you're not familiar with Node.js, I will give you several easy hints. So the first one, we have a portal called npmjs.com, and using that portal you can find a lot of different modules for your Node.js apps, and you can easily install those modules using npm install module name --save command, and it will create a local folder with Node modules on your machine. And after that, you will be able to restore all those packages using npm install command without any arguments. And of course, in this case, you do not need to check in your Node module folder. I will give a more clear example. Let me switch to my screen sharing. So now I just open my browser and type npmjs.com. That's all. So here I am on a portal. It's called npm, so Node package modules. And here I can find a lot of cool stuff like Express framework, like Grunt CLI, Bower, Cordova, and all other funny stuff like Less, Yo, and so on and so on. In case I want to find some specific module, for example like Azure SDK or Azure Storage, I can type it here, and as you can see I have a lot of modules. And for example, I want this one. Here I can read some brief description, maybe see some features, see some getting started documentation, see some usage documentation, and so on and so on. So here is kind of a very useful portal, and I will encourage you to use this portal. Let's see how it works from developer perspective. Now I will switch to another window. So here I have my sample application. It's a regular application based on an Express framework. As you can see, I have a regular folder structure for my Express framework, and also I have this package JSON file here. When I open it, you will see that here I will zoom out it a little bit. Here I have a list of my dependencies. It's Express, body parser, cookie parser, and so on and so on. When I have these dependencies, I also have this Node modules folder here. But as you can see, for all dependency, I already have a reference for a specific version. So I can easily delete this folder locally. Delete. Now if I'll open terminal and try to write something like npm start, as you can see, I have an error. Of course, I have an error because I have no express module or something like this. But I can easily fix it. I can type npm install. Now it will just read through my package.json file and it will create this Node modules folder again. npm start. And now, as you can see, everything was started fine without any errors. In case I want to add a new module, for example, Azure Storage, I can type npm install Azure Storage, and of course I want to add a reference to this Azure Storage module to my package.json file. So that's why I will add -- save. Enter. It will go to portal and download this module for me. So now, as you can see, I have this Azure Storage here, and also inside Node modules I have an Azure Storage with all required stuff here. So I will encourage you to use this npm package manager to manage all your external packages, all your dependencies, and so on and so on. And of course, as I show you on a previous demonstration, we can easily, for example, restore all these packages when we deploy our Node.js app, for example, to Azure Web Sites. So it's a very cool stuff. Let's go back to our presentation and go to the next step. So the next thing I want to talk about is NodeMon. It's in short for Node Monitor. Here I have two links for this project. The first one is nodemon.io and the second one is the source code of this module on a GitHub. So I will switch back to my screen share, and inside my screen share I will open a new tab, nodemon.io. So here I have this site, and as you can see, NodeMon, it's another npm package, but it's not like a package for a single application, it's a global package, and when I will install it globally using this key, I will be able to use this package for any application. And now let's see for what reason I need this package. I will go back to my application, and let's say I will type npm start, enter, and now I want to go to my localhost and see what I have here. So here I have this default web page. Okay, let's say I want to add something here. Let's go, for example, to route index and Let's say I want to add something like express new. So I will add express new. I will save this file, but if I'll go here, I can hit refresh, but either way I see just a regular express. To update this page, I need to return to my app. I need to terminate my current Node.js process and I need to restart it again. After that, open my browser and hit refresh. It's not kind of good user experience for developing app this way, so that's why we can use our NodeMon. I will scroll down a little bit and I will go to documentation section just because I want to, I want to use some hint, and if I want to use my NodeMon, I just need to type NodeMon your Node app. So here I will terminate my process and I even open a new terminal. Node monitor bin www, because this one is like my entry point for my Node.js app. Enter. Okay, so NodeMon is up and running. I will open my browser, hit F5 here. So now I have express new. Okay, let's say I want to revert it back to regular express. I will save it, open my browser again. Of course, here I have like an old version of my site, it's obvious, but when I will click refresh, I will see express and a regular express. So it's a very useful tool because you do not need to refresh, not refresh, but you don't need to terminate and then start again your server. You just change your files, save them, and after that you just click F5 in your browser and that's all. So it's very useful stuff, and I will also encourage you to use this NodeMon server. Okay, let's close it for now and let's go back to our slides. Okay, so we talk a little bit about NodeMon. Let's go next, and next we have another interesting stuff called debugging. And when we talk about debugging, we have like several options. The first one is using something like console.log, and the second one is, for example, we can use Node inspector module to obtain like a more more user-friendly debugging experience. Okay, so let me switch back to my screen share. What I have here, so I will demonstrate you like first way. So let's say we create some kind of variable here, and let's say that we will let's say that we have some code here. So just some code. The first way how we can debug it, it's using console.log, for example. I will save it. I will run it. Okay, and now I will refresh my page and go back here. As you can see in a console, I have 1, 2, 4, 7, 11. So basically it's an output from my console log. But as you may realize, it's not really a good debugging experience. So that's why I will go to my browser here, and I'm on a GitHub Node Inspector. Oh yeah, okay, I will go to GitHub root and try again. Node Inspector. Okay, strange issue. Let's try it another way. Node Inspector search. Okay, here I have my Node Inspector npm module. Basically, it's another application which I should install globally. And also, I can use it quite easily by typing node debug app.js. So app.js, as you can see, it's name of my main Node application. But also, it's kind of well-known issue. And I will scroll down a little bit. Okay, maybe it was on a GitHub. Let's open GitHub, and here inside README file, known issues and troubleshooting. So basically, sometimes it really can happen that your script works really fast, and for debugger it's kind of an issue that you cannot attach debugger to your script. So that's why you need to add this additional key, debug break. Let's open our app and let's type node. Wait a second. Node debug. Node debug. The same bin www, and just to make sure, add debug break and hit enter. Oh, okay. Now as you can see, I just run my browser. It's my Chrome browser, because by default this stuff works in Chrome and Opera. So in case you have another default browser, you need to reopen this link in Chrome or Opera. Now I can go to localhost, for example, and see my website. And let's try to attach my debugger to some kind of fancy stuff here. Road index. Let's try to sometimes it will not allow you to put this breakpoint here, but you can just refresh it. And as you can see, I have my breakpoint here. So now I can refresh this page, return back, and I have my breakpoint here with all stuff that I need. So for now here I is equal to 1, j equal to 0. So let's go resume. Now 2 and 1, 4 and 2, 7, 3, and so on and so on. Also, if you go to console here, you will be able to see this output like 1, 2, 4, 7, 11. It's the same as we have here. 1, 2, 4, 7, 11. So I will also encourage you to use this Node debug stuff. Oh, sorry. I will also encourage you to use this Node debug stuff because it's very useful. It's very useful for debugging my Node.js application. I will return back to slides. Okay, the next issue or the next topic I want to talk about is callback hell. So when we're talking about callback hell as a Node developer, you may also be familiar with callback hell. Basically, I am talking about something like this. In Node.js, you have a lot of asynchronous calls. And in our case, for example, we want to create a user account for a specific name and password. And because everything works in asynchronous mode, we declare a function for callback. And in case we have no error here, we will call create block. And again, we will have a callback function with error and result. If this block or when this block is created, we will call for send email and so on and so on. Of course, this kind of code is very hard to read and very hard to maintain. But for this kind of issues, we already have a good answer. I will now switch back to my screen share. But I will now open another project. So here I have another project, and let's see how I can fix this callback hell issue. I will go to services and I will open my data storage file. So basically what I have here, I have a function called getEntities. Basically this function will query my table or my just say storage, and it will also call it in asynchronous mode. And as you can see here in my parameter list, I have only table name, partition key, row key, and other custom filters. And that's all. I will scroll down a little bit. Here I just create a query in appropriate format. And here I grab my table service and call for query entities. I provide table name, query, and here I need to provide a callback. But my getEntities function is a wrapper, and I will use this wrapper for all other calls. And that's why here I work with Azure Storage SDK, and that's why here I need to create a callback. But let's see how it works in these several lines of code. First, I declare a promise, or I create a promise. And at the end, I will return this promise to my user. So user will ask me, or like a caller will ask me, please give me those data. I will say, okay, I will promise that I will give you those data as soon as I will have it. So I create this promise here, and I will return this promise to my caller. I will return this promise to another developer who will call this method. And inside this callback function, I will call promise, resolve, and I will provide some data. So I will resolve this promise with some results. And let's go to index and let's see what we have. For example, for speakers page. Yeah. So here is like a regular Node.js application for Express framework. And I just want to demonstrate. So I use my data storage I called for getEntities. I provide some arguments, but basically it's just a table name and partition key. And because getEntities will return a promise, I will be able to write then, and here inside then I will write something like callback function. So I will create an anonymous function with my results, and basically I will render a new form with speakers equals to results obtained from my data storage. Also, in case I will have like more promises, I will be able to call them in like a chain mode. So it's also kind of not a problem here. And basically it will help me to solve this callback hell issue. So in this case, I will be able to work with my code and maintain my code in like more appropriate way. Okay, let's go back to our slides. Another issue, or not an issue, but a very good tip, is run in parallel. I will demonstrate you my code example. So here it's another sample from like application I show you several minutes before. You can query like for several tables, and you will be able to run all those queries in parallel using like this simple call. Let's go back to code and I will demonstrate this in another example. So let me just find this code. Oh yeah. So here I have my code for rendering my website root page. I need to call like my main table just to obtain a list of links for my social media and other stuff. And also I need to query my partners table to show a list of partners. And let's open a regular notepad, and I will demonstrate you like a simple mess. So let's say that we want to query our external storage or external service. We will have some kind of create request time. Let's say that for creating request we need something like 5 milliseconds. We need to execute this request, let's say like 20 milliseconds, and also we need to process response, let's say something like 3 milliseconds. So basically you will have all these 3 steps when you will call for external API or external service. And now let's say that we have sync and parallel mode. So in sync mode, and let's say that I want to query like 2 tables. Yes. Main table, partners table. So just 2 tables. In sync mode, I will have my create request plus execute request plus process request multiply by 2. And it's basically like 28 multiplied by 2, so it's 56 milliseconds. In case I will use parallel, but not just parallel async. In case I will use parallel async, what I will have here, I will have 5 multiplied by 2 plus 20 plus 3 multiplied by 2. Why? It's because this time I will spend for create 2 requests. This time I will spend for process response from 2 requests. This time I will spend for waiting from external storage to execute my request. In this case, I will have only 36 milliseconds. Let's say I also will call for some kind of, I don't know, registration table. Let's say I will have 3 tables here. In this case, I will have all multiply by 3. So it will be like 76, 79, 82 milliseconds. Here, let's multiply by 3 here. So it will be like 20 plus 15, it will be 35, and 9, 44 milliseconds. So in this case, the difference is almost 2 times. And you can use a parallel async mode very easily. And as you can see, if you need to call like only 3 external resources, you will have almost double performance if you use parallel async mode. Let's go back to our code. So here I use not promise. And what is not promise? Basically, not promise is another npm module. I will demonstrate you this module on an npm site a little bit later, but I will just set all and provide an array of promises here. In this case, I will wait for all promises to be executed. And in then function, I will have an results array, and in results 0 item, I will have callback from, I will have data from this promise. Then in results 1, I will have a data for this promise. So it's very simple. It will go in the same order. So as you can see, I grab my pages here and I filter them a little bit. But when we talk about partners, I will just grab all results from partners table and send them to my UI and just display all information about my partners on UI. Let's go to browser. Here we have Node Inspector, but we're looking for Node Promise. So here is my module Node Promise. And this module have a lot of like policies or like a lot of ways how he can process all that promises. So basically it can be when, all or none, and so on and so on. So I will also encourage you to use this module just because I will demonstrate you this simple mess again. If you will call like 3 external data sources in parallel, you will have almost like 2 times faster execution from the Node.js perspective. Okay, let's go back to our slides. So we just talked how we can use Node promises for running our queries in parallel and obtaining like a good boost for our performance. And the last thing I want to show you for today, it's about using standard V8 functions. Why V8 functions? Because Node.js, it's basically like a Google JavaScript engine, and Google JavaScript engine calls V8, and you can use all stuff from this engine also on your server side. So why not? For example, you can use such fancy stuff as for each, map, reduce, and so on. And basically, if you will use this stuff like for each, map, reduce, and so on, you will also have a great boost for your regular operations. So I will demonstrate you now a few like most simple examples. I will go back to my site here. Okay, so let's say we have an array 1, and it will be like a simple array 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. And the first example, we need to choose only like items which will satisfy some filter criteria. We can create a new array and we can use a regular function called filter. Filter. Here we need to provide just a simple anonymous function with a single argument, item. And this item, it's basically each item of our array. And we need to return true or false. And if we will return true, this item will be included in our array too. In other case, this item will not be included. So let's say return something like item bigger than 3. Yes. And here let's say something like array or title will be equal to array2 dot join this way. Let's run this site and let's see what we have here let's see what we have here. So we have 4 and 5. Just this simple. Also, we can say something like and item less than 5. Save. Go to browser. Refresh. So now we have only 4. So it's in a very easy way and it works extremely fast, and also it's kind of very good for maintain. So I can easily maintain this code because it's really kind of very common. Okay, let's see another example. Let's see, for example, our map method. Map method will create a new array from all items of previous array, and we can like perform an additional action for those items. So we can say return item, for example, multiply by 10. Save. F5 here. So 10, 20, 30, 40, and 50. So it's kind of another simple method we can use for managing our algorithms in Node.js. And again, as you can see, it's really easy to read and easy to maintain. If you want to know more about this stuff, you can again open your browser, go to your favorite search engine and type something like JavaScript, for example, map. And as you can see, the first link will redirect you to developers Mozilla.org. And also, as you can see, map is a regular method for all arrays because it's created on a prototype level. Let me just find how I can switch it to English. Okay, now I have it in English. And of course, like for arrays, you have not only map, but let's see somewhere. Yeah. So you have a lot of other stuff like pop, push, sort, splice, and shift. The same like join, and so on and so on. Filter, as I demonstrate you, map, reduce, and so on. So you can use all this stuff in your Node.js application, and why not? Because it's just a regular Google JavaScript engine. And at the end, I want to give like the last hint for today. When we talk about cloud applications, the first rule we need to follow if we want to build like a scalable application is something like divide and conquer. Basically, you need to divide your application on some modules, and each module should perform only his dedicated job. So in case you have a module which is responsible for your like partner API, it should be a dedicated module. In case you have a module which is responsible for like rendering your HTML, it should be another module. Like another module for, I don't know, processing images, another module for sending emails, another module for like creating bills, for example, for your customers on a monthly basis and send them via emails, and so on and so on and so on. So you need to decouple your application, but this decoupling should also follow like common sense rules. So it's not like create a million of applications and each application will have only like a single method. So no, when we talk about decoupling, you also need to follow like common sense rules.